From time to time, people ring me up or send me emails about some interesting questions of the faith, and some of the questions kind of catch me off guard. And I recently got a question from somebody to say, can they use wheat to make Eucharistic hosts that have been treated with glyphosate? And anybody who doesn't know what glyphosate is, it's a weed killer that you spray that stops photosynthesis. So when it comes to harvesting wheat, they can control the harvest. They can stop photosynthesis and harvest at one time. And it's used a lot in some countries to produce wheat. With a lot of controversy about whether it's safe to eat or not. I don't eat wheat, so I don't. It's not a problem for me, but for others, there's been a big debate about it. And so they asked me, well, look, can you use that grain that has been treated with glyphosate? And I said, no, can't use GMO wheat. You can't use wheat that's been treated with any chemicals. The only type of wheat grain that can be used for the Eucharist is untreated wheat grain that has been milled, mixed with water, and used to produce unleavened bread in our tradition. In the East, they let the bread rise, and they use kind of a loaf of bread for the Eucharist. In our tradition, in the Roman Catholic tradition, we used unleavened bread, similar to what was used at the Last Supper. Very, very, very similar, that type of thing. And so it has to be completely pure. No glyphosate, no treatments, no GMO wheat, none of this nonsense that has crept into the food industry. It has to be pure. The same with wine. They don't use phosphates or any weed killers. It has to be organic wine, organic wheat, natural wheat, and that's so. That's the answer to anybody that's wondering, can you just go out and buy a bag of wheat from a supermarket and use that to make hosts? No, you have to. It has to be. You have to control the wheat, because some wheat that you buy could have some other additives in it, which is why you would never use wheat or bread off a shelf. Because sometimes it has vitamins added or other additives in there that make it impure. Now I do know that in certain circumstances, when people are in difficult moments, in times of persecution, and it's not always easy to come across the proper wine and the proper bread. In concentration camps, you've heard stories about people smuggling in bread and smuggling in wine, or smuggling in grapes, and people trying to make wine. I mean, that's a different situation, but in the normal cut and thrust of things, you cannot use any of these adulterous things. That's why priests have to be very careful where you buy the hosts and where you buy the wine. I've heard horror stories of some parishes trying to cut costs, and they go on YouTube or eBay or someplace, and they source, oh look, we can get the hosts cheaper somewhere else, and they buy them online, and then a new priest comes in and says, what are you using here? This is not properly confected host for the Eucharist, so this is not proper wine. Some people using fruit wine or something like this. It just so you're aware. So no, you cannot use glyphosate treated wheat for the Eucharist, is the short answer. Anyway, put it on YouTube here in case the question comes up again and somebody is wondering, can you use it? No, you can't. And I suggest anybody, if you're going to eat eat healthily. Don't a lot of these chemicals that are used in our production increase yield, but they don't. There's a lot of sketchy evidence on whether they are beneficial for our health. And again, I don't eat wheat, but I've heard many people speak about the problems of that they've had with with these mass produced products these days that have a lot of additives in it, and a lot of and they're heavily refined. So again, I'm not an expert in the field, but I am an expert in the field when it comes to what is the type of wheat you can use for the Eucharist. Anyway, God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.